Elizabeth Taylor's mother died, she found a box hidden in her closet. Inside were letters. 47 letters. Every single one written by Elizabeth. But none of them had ever been sent. This is the story of the words she could never say. The box was small. Brown leather. Worn at the edges. Elizabeth Taylor stood in her mother's bedroom, 2 days after Sarah Taylor's funeral, and stared at it. She'd found it in the back of her mother's closet, behind the shoes, beneath a pile of old scarves. Hidden. Deliberately hidden. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. Maybe 40. Maybe 50. All in the same handwriting. Her handwriting. Elizabeth sat down on the floor. The carpet was old, dusty. She didn't care. She picked up the first letter. The envelope was yellowed with age. No address. No stamp. Just a name written in her own hand. Richard. Her breath caught. What she read in that first letter would break her heart all over again. Because it was written 30 years ago, on the night Richard Burton said goodbye forever. Elizabeth's fingers trembled as she unfolded the letter. The paper was thin, fragile. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were still clear. My darling Richard. It's been 3 hours since you walked out. I'm sitting in our bedroom. Your cologne is still on the pillows. I can't breathe. I know we said terrible things tonight. I know I threw that glass. I know you said you never wanted to see me again. But Richard, please. Come back. I don't know how to exist without you. I don't know who I am when you're not here. We destroy each other, I know that. But we also make each other alive. Please don't let this be the end. Forever yours. Elizabeth. Elizabeth stared at the letter. She remembered writing it. December 1974. The night of their second divorce. She'd written it at 3 a.m, drunk on vodka and heartbreak. She'd sealed it in an envelope. She'd even put on her coat to mail it. But she never did. Because by sunrise, she knew, Richard wasn't coming back. Not this time. She put the letter down. Picked up another. This one had no envelope. Just folded paper. The handwriting was shakier, more desperate. Richard, again. She opened it. Richard. I saw you on television yesterday. You were doing that interview for Equus. You looked tired. You looked old. I wanted to call you. I picked up the phone 3 times. But what would I say? I miss you. You already know that. I still love you. You don't care. Come back to me. You won't. So I'm writing this instead. Knowing I'll never send it. Knowing you'll never read it. But maybe that's better. Maybe it's easier to love you from a distance. Where you can't hurt me. Where I can't hurt you. We were never meant to last, were we? We burned too bright. We consumed each other. But God, Richard. What a beautiful fire it was. Always. Tears ran down Elizabeth's face. She wiped them away with the back of her hand. How many letters were there? How many nights had she spent writing to Richard, pouring out her heart, and then hiding the words away where no one would see them? She reached for another letter. This envelope was different. Thicker. Heavier. The name on it made her freeze. Mike. Mike Todd. Her third husband. The love of her life. The man who died in a plane crash in 1958. Elizabeth had been writing letters to a dead man for decades. And what she confessed in them would reveal the grief she never showed the world. Elizabeth's hands shook so badly she almost couldn't open the envelope. Mike Todd had been dead for 36 years when her mother died. 36 years since that plane went down. 36 years since Elizabeth's world shattered. She unfolded the letter. The date at the top. March 23, 1968. 10 years after his death. My beloved Mike. I married Richard Burton today. I know you would have liked him. You two were so similar, loud, charming, impossible to ignore. He makes me laugh the way you did. But Mike, he's not you. Nobody is you. I keep thinking about what you said the night before you left. Remember? We were lying in bed, and you said, Liz, if anything ever happens to me, promise you'll be happy. Promise you'll find someone who loves you as much as I do. I promised you. But Mike, I lied. Because nobody loves me the way you did. Nobody sees me the way you did. You loved Elizabeth Roseman Taylor, the scared little girl inside the movie star. You loved me when I was messy. When I was difficult. When I was impossible. Richard loves Elizabeth Taylor, the legend. The icon. The woman the world adores. But you loved me. I miss you every single day. And I'm so angry at you for leaving me. I'm angry at that stupid plane. I'm angry at God for taking you away. But most of all, I'm angry at myself. For not begging you to stay home that night. For letting you get on that plane. I would give anything, everything, to have one more day with you. I love you, Mike. I will always love you. Your Lizzie. Elizabeth folded the letter carefully. Put it back in the envelope. Pressed it against her chest. She'd never told anyone about these letters. Not her therapists. Not her friends. Not even Richard. Writing to Mike was her secret. Her way of keeping him alive. She reached into the box again. More letters to Mike. So many letters. One from 1975. One from 1982. One from 1990. Decade after decade, Elizabeth had been writing to a ghost. Telling him about her life. Her marriages. Her children. Her pain. Asking him questions she knew he'd never answer. Mike, did I do the right thing marrying Richard? Mike, why can't I ever feel happy? Mike, am I going to die alone? Elizabeth read through them, one by one. Each letter a window into her loneliest nights. The nights when she couldn't sleep. The nights when the emptiness was too much. And then she found the letters she'd been dreading. The ones addressed to Mother. But the letters to her mother, those were the ones Elizabeth could never face. Because they asked the question she'd been too afraid to ask her whole life. Elizabeth held the first letter to her mother for a long time before opening it. Sarah Taylor. Her mother. The woman who made her a star. The woman who controlled every moment of her childhood. The woman who never once said, I'm proud of you. Elizabeth unfolded the letter. The date, 1952. She would have been 20 years old. Mother. I'm sitting in my dressing room after the premiere of A Place in the Sun. Everyone says it's my best performance. Everyone says I'm going to win an Oscar. You didn't come tonight. You said you had a headache. Mother, I needed you there. I needed you to see me. To be proud of me. But you never are you? I've been working since I was 9 years old. I've made millions of dollars. I've been on the cover of every magazine. I've married a hotel heir. And still, it's never enough for you. I look at you sometimes and I wonder, do you even love me? Or do you just love what I can do for you? I'm your daughter. Not your investment. Please, just once, tell me I'm enough. Elizabeth. Elizabeth's throat tightened. She'd never sent that letter. Because she already knew the answer. She picked up another letter to her mother. This one from 1964. Mother. Richard and I got married today. You didn't approve. You said he was beneath me. You said he would ruin my career. But Mother, I love him. Doesn't that matter to you? I've spent my entire life trying to make you proud. I became a star because you wanted me to. I married Conrad Hilton because you thought it was a good match. He hit me, by the way. Did you know that? Did you care? I'm 42 years old, and I'm still trying to win your approval. When does it end, Mother? When do I get to live for myself? Or will I spend my whole life being Elizabeth Taylor because that's who you created? I wish you could see me. The real me. Not the movie star. Not the money maker. Just me. But you can't. You never could. Your daughter. Elizabeth. Elizabeth put the letter down. Her hands were shaking. She'd written these letters on her worst nights. The nights when she felt most alone. Most misunderstood. And she'd hidden them away. Because saying these things out loud, even to herself, felt too dangerous. There were more letters in the box. Dozens more. Some to Richard. Some to Mike. Some to her mother. And a few to people she'd never even met. One to her unborn child. The baby she'd miscarried in 1961. One to Rock Hudson, written after his death in 1985. One to herself. Written on her 50th birthday. Dear Elizabeth. You're 50 years old today. Half a century. You've lived 1,000 lives. You've been married 8 times. You've won 2 Oscars. You've been on the cover of every magazine in the world. But are you happy? No. You're not. Because happiness isn't something you can win. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can perform. And you've spent your whole life performing. Maybe it's time to stop. Maybe it's time to be quiet. To be still. To be alone. Not Elizabeth Taylor, the legend. Just Elizabeth. The woman. Maybe then you'll find what you've been searching for all along. Love. Yourself. Elizabeth sat on that bedroom floor for hours, reading every letter, reliving every heartbreak. And then she did something she'd never done before. Elizabeth gathered all the letters. 47 of them. She counted them twice to be sure. 47 letters. 47 nights of pain she'd never shared with anyone. She thought about burning them. Throwing them away. Pretending they'd never existed. But she didn't. Instead, she took out a pen. And on a blank piece of paper, she wrote one final letter. To everyone I never sent these letters to. I spent my whole life hiding. Hiding behind beauty. Hiding behind fame. Hiding behind marriages. I was afraid that if you saw the real me, the scared, broken, lonely me, you wouldn't love me anymore. So I wrote these letters. And I never sent them. Because sending them meant being vulnerable. And being vulnerable meant being hurt. But I'm tired now. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of pretending. So here's the truth. Richard, I loved you more than life itself. But we destroyed each other. And I'm sorry. Mike, you were the love of my life. And losing you broke something in me that never healed. Mother, I needed you to love me. Not the movie star. Me. And you never did. And that hurt more than anything. To everyone else I wrote to but never sent, thank you. Writing these letters kept me sane. They were my therapy. My confession. My prayer. I don't know if anyone will ever read these. Maybe they'll stay hidden forever. Maybe that's okay. Because the point wasn't for you to read them. The point was for me to write them. To finally, after all these years, tell the truth. Elizabeth Taylor. Age 62. May 15, 1994 inch. She folded the letter. Put it in the box with all the others. Closed the lid. And she left the box where she'd found it. In the back of the closet. Hidden. Safe. Because some truths are meant to stay private. Some words are meant to remain unsaid. Some letters are never meant to be sent. But 17 years later, when Elizabeth died, someone found that box. And the letters were finally read. March 23, 2011. Elizabeth Taylor died at 79 years old, surrounded by her children. When they cleaned out her house, they found the box. The same brown leather box. Still in the back of the closet. Still filled with letters. Her son, Michael Wilding Jr., opened it. Read the first letter. Called his siblings. They sat together in Elizabeth's bedroom and read every single one. The letters to Richard. The letters to Mike. The letters to their grandmother. The letters their mother had been too afraid to send. Michael cried when he read the letter Elizabeth wrote to herself on her 50th birthday. I never knew she felt this way, he said. She always seemed so strong. She was strong, his sister said. But she was also human. They read the letter Elizabeth had written on the day Rock Hudson died. Dear Rock. You died 3 days ago. The world is talking about AIDS now. Finally. But Rock, I'm so angry. I'm angry that it took your death for people to care. I'm angry that you suffered. I'm angry that I couldn't save you. Do you remember that day in the hospital? When you asked me to promise I'd keep fighting? You said, Liz, don't let them forget us. I won't. I promise you, Rock. I won't let them forget. But tonight, I just want to cry. I want to scream. I want to break something. Because you were my friend. My real friend. One of the few people who knew me, the real me, and loved me anyway. And now you're gone. Just like Mike. Just like so many others. Everyone I love leaves. Everyone I love dies. Or walks away. Or stops seeing me. Maybe I'm cursed, Rock. Maybe that's the price of being Elizabeth Taylor. I miss you already. Love always. Liz. Michael set the letter down carefully. She carried so much, he whispered. And she never showed it. There was another letter. This one had no date. Just a title at the top. Things I never said out loud. Elizabeth's daughter opened it. Her hands were shaking. I was 9 years old when I stopped being a child. I was 17 when my first husband hit me. I was 26 when the love of my life died in a plane crash. I was 30 when the world called me a homewrecker. I was 40 when I realized Richard and I would never work. I was 50 when I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I was 60 when I finally understood. I spent my whole life searching for love in other people, because I never learned to love myself. These are the things I never said out loud. Because admitting them meant admitting I was broken. And Elizabeth Taylor isn't allowed to be broken. She's supposed to be beautiful. Strong. Perfect. But I'm not Elizabeth Taylor. Not really. I'm just Elizabeth. A woman who made mistakes. Who felt too much. Who loved too hard. And maybe that's enough. Maybe I'm enough. Or maybe I never was. I'll never know. The room was silent when she finished reading. Elizabeth's children sat there, holding their mother's secrets, understanding her loneliness for the first time. She was surrounded by millions of people, Michael said quietly. But she died feeling alone. No, his sister said, touching the letters gently. She wasn't alone. She had these. She had her words. She had her truth. Even if nobody ever read them. Especially because nobody ever read them. These letters, they were hers. Completely hers. The one thing in her life that nobody could take away. The one place where she could be honest. They understood now. The letters weren't meant to be sent. They were meant to be written. Because sometimes, the act of telling the truth, even to yourself, even on paper, even in secret, is enough. They decided not to publish the letters. Not to sell them. Not to share them with the world. Because Elizabeth had kept them private for a reason. But they kept the box. Passed it down. A reminder that even legends have secrets. Even icons have pain. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is write the truth down, even if no one ever reads it. There was one letter left in the box. At the very bottom. In a sealed envelope. On the front, in Elizabeth's handwriting. To be opened after I'm gone. Michael held the envelope up to the light. Inside, he could see a single folded page. His hand hovered over the seal. Should he open it? Or should he respect his mother's final privacy? He looked at his siblings. They nodded. He opened the envelope. Unfolded the letter. And what he read made him understand his mother in a way he never had before.